I'm going to be covering kind of more of a mental quandary and something to really take seriously and ponder, especially if you're an insurance agent, financial advisor, or broker. This is an incredibly important thing to think of and might be pivotal in your career based on what you actually do with this information and knowledge. It's incredibly important to realize every single decision that you make actually carries some form of risk, and you need to decide the type of risk that you are actually wanting to take within your business, within your career, within your own life. It's all in your hands, and I'm not going to be cryptic. I'm going to get right into it right now. All right, so I really want you to kind of take a moment to consider what the bigger risk is truly, right? So if you're somebody who's, an advisor doing like cold calling, door knocking, emailers, any of that stuff, any kind of cold outreach stuff, or kind of lower performing lead generating exercises, I want you to ask yourself what the risk is doing that compared to the alternatives. So, if you're cold calling, and I went over this in a recent video, if you're cold calling, I already covered how that's extremely mentally exhausting, extremely demoralizing for you. If you're door knocking, that's physically demanding. You're putting your you're putting your physical health on the line when you're doing door knocking. I personally know a guy who we talked to, and he was close to I think 48 or 50 or somewhere around that, and he was still going door to door, knocking on doors, trying to sell his product. I'm not going to give away too much information on the guy, but he was still going door to door at a quite an old age to be doing that for sure. And rain, sleet, or snow, that was what he was doing. That's how he was generating his money. And I'm definitely not hating on the guy for doing that and going out and generating that income for his family. I respect him a lot for it, but I just feel horrible because I know that there's better systems and better ways of doing it. And the other way is, as well as, if you do emailers, just mailers that you send in the mail, boosted posts on social media. See, this is death by 1,000 financial cuts is what I like to call it, because you think you're getting something out of it. Like, for example, boosted posts. People think, oh, I spend $5. Yeah, I run ads. We talk to people all the time. Oh, yeah, I've run ads before. I've done boosted posts on Instagram for $5. Well, you're not getting anything out of that, right? One, it's not a real ad. It doesn't really do anything except maybe bring the likes up by like 10% or something like that. And a lot of these things, they're not going to give you anything real, right? Like, for example, you do a boosted post, you might get an extra 10, 15 likes on it. Or you do emails and you send out an email blast. A lot of the time, so you might end up getting a client or two if you're lucky and you know what you're doing with it. But a lot of the time, you're not running a big enough campaign. You're not running it with enough of a warmed up audience. There's a whole bunch of things you're not doing, and it ends up just being death by 1,000 financial cuts because you get a whole bunch of results that never are clients. You get likes on a post, replies to an email, or whatever, right? So that's not a really great way of doing it too. And that the opportunity cost to all three of these things, when you could be doing something so much more, right? Something that is going to generate you so many more leads, so much more opportunity. The opportunity of you still taking the time to do these systems when you have access to something else is a big cost to pay, right? Big cost to pay. So what is the big risk that most people are afraid of, right? I think the big risk that a lot of people are afraid of, they know it works, they've seen it, is doing leads online. Every advisor, every agent knows somebody who's doing it online, knows they're crushing it. They know they need to be online. They know they need to get themselves online. But I see very, very, very many people who know they need to do it and very few people actually doing it. So I think the big risk a lot of people face is, well, what if I lose all of my money? Now, there's a couple ways to do this, right? So what if you get scammed? Well, if you get scammed, I mean, there's some pretty obvious signs I like to think that go along with that. And maybe I'll do a separate video on how to not get scammed. But I think for the most part, a lot of that is common knowledge and common sense and can be found out with a few quick Google searches and YouTube videos and whatever not. But if you do it legit and you get somebody legit to do it for you, I mean, if you spend $1,000 even on a lead gen system, which is not crazy, but still a lot of money for a lot of people. Like, are you really telling me if you spend $1,000, you think you're not going to talk to or end up somewhere down the line closing a single lead from $1,000? If I generated you from $1,000, 100 people, you're telling me out of 100 people you couldn't close 1% of them? And I could do it for more. I could probably generate you closer to 200, maybe even three. And you wouldn't close a single one of those people, not a single one. I just have a difficult time. I just have a difficult time believing that. I really do. I think that you definitely could, close some of these people. And so even look, there might be a risk of losing a little bit of money, 100%. But is it worth that when you're paying for the knowledge and the experience, and you're paying to go from one level to 3 or 4 or 5 levels up way more quickly than you'd ever do it by any of these things? So the way that I look at it, like my very, very, very first advertising campaign, it failed. I ended up losing somewhere around the vicinity of $150. But that $150 that I spent saved me probably 2 years worth of knowledge. Because of what I learned through that experience, that saved me 2 years of not having to do cold calling, door knocking, emailers, any of that stuff. For $150, I'll pay that any day to get 2 years of my life back, 2 years of my knowledge back, any day. And for a lot of you guys who are scared of losing your money, what money? What money are you scared of losing? A lot of you guys don't have money to begin with, and you're so scared of losing it. Money is just meant to be a tool. So if you have none, you need to change something up. You need to just take a bigger step. And that's it. I know that it's scary for a lot of people to do that, and I completely understand that. But the only way you're going to get somewhere is by taking risks, right? So here's what you're not understanding is if you don't risk the money, you're risking all of these things up here. And I'm going to get to that in a second because I want to continue talking about lead generation. But I'm going to get to that in a second of how one risk, I think personally, really outweighs the other. So the other thing we also hear as well for people who do have the money is that they think it's going to take too much time and they're going to be overworked because they're going to have this big system with a whole bunch of leads, and now they're paying for work is what we've heard. I don't want to pay for work, right? Well, there's so many things that you can do to build around that, right? You can build systems online through infrastructure that we provide in all of our systems around your lead gen, or you can hire people, right? There's so many different things you can do that way. You can tone down your spending. Like, you're in control of how much you want to spend at the end of the day. Or you can hand it off to an agency. For us, that's a service that we offer. If your campaign is too big for you to handle and you need somebody else to do it, we can take care of it for you. We're, especially the ones that we build for people, we're fine with. If you want to hand it back to us at some other point, we'll take it on for you. You never have to worry about that when you work with us. With other people, maybe you do. With us, you never have to worry about that. But going back to the risk and really asking the question of, was that risk worth it, right? I want you to answer this question yourself, right? And tell me that you're willing to risk your mental health, your physical health, going door to door knocking in different weather conditions for years, your mental health, cold calling, constantly getting dejected, your well-being, your future opportunities, your family's future, staying stuck, being broke, and not enjoying your station in life. You're willing to risk having all of that by continuing down the path you're on. But you're not willing to risk a bit of money, right? Because this is what you need to think of it as too, right? Especially if you don't have money. It's hard to think of $1,000 as a little bit of money when it's a lot to you. But you want to get to a point where you can go, that's just a bit of money. That's something that I can afford to do. Because see, you can always make more money. You can't get this stuff back. You can't get your you can get your mental health back, but it's not worth it to lose it in the first place. It's not worth it to lose these things in the first place. And at least that's how I feel. Maybe you feel different. Maybe you feel, no, I'd rather have the money and lose all these things. And if that's you, go for it. Then that's your prerogative and that's what you want to do. I know for me, these things come above the money for me. I've had a lot of moments in my life where I wasn't sure where the money was going to come from. I spent through all of it, be it on payroll, be it on ads, be it on my business, the whole knowledge, education, whatever it was. I've spent through money a whole bunch of times. I've always made the money back. Always made the money back. But these are the very hard to get back things. So I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of a different mental framework around how you view the opportunity cost of continuing doing what you're doing now. And maybe you're doing different things now, but if it hasn't been working for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, and you're still doing it and you're not where you want to be. By not working, I don't mean you're getting a couple clients, because good for you. If you're getting a couple clients, and great. But if you're not at, your financial goals, your whatever goals, like this is a system that will take you to the goals you need within a year if you dedicate yourself to it easily. I mean, even bigger, depending on if you're already close to your goals right now. It might take even a shorter amount of time. Could take 3 to 6 months. Could take, it just depends on how close you are to your goals, how big they are, and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? But those are the main things that it really depends on. So again, are you really willing to risk your mental and physical health, all the future opportunities, the future of your family being broke forever? Or are you willing to risk a little bit of money? So that's something for you to decide. It's not for you to necessarily, decide by the end of this video. But once you know, maybe let me know in the comments section and tell me what you are willing to risk and what the bigger risk is to you. So I'd like to know. So look, what we do is we help prevent the risk associated with doing lead gen as much as possible, because we understand it still is a big risk for some people. We do this by creating a done-for-you multi-dimensional lead generating process. This means that we're generating leads on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We're also setting up the retargeting campaigns, anything else that you need with lead gen, as well as lead nurturing processes. This really reduces the risks because it means that the leads that you generate are far, far, far more likely to turn into clients when we're sending them out emails, we're sending them out text messages, making sure that they actually follow up with you on your service and buy it, right? We also mitigate some of the pain that people have with, having to actually manage the system themselves, because it's completely done for you. So once we're done, all we do is we hand the system off to you. We don't charge you monthly retainers like a lot of these other agencies do, where they scam you. It's a one-time fee, so you can have complete control over the system, do whatever you would like with it. Like I said, it's completely handed off to you. You can spend as much or as little as you would like and generate leads at your own pace. So all of these objectives here, you don't even need to worry about. And if you still don't want to do that, and even if that's still too much work for you, no problem. We can pair you with a trained and qualified virtual assistant who will manage the whole thing for you, and they'll do it for very cheap, as well as make it better along the way. So I hope that I was able to give a paradigm shift to those who needed it. This is something that really was important for me when I was starting my business, and I think is going to be important for a lot of the people watching this video. So yeah, with all that said, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to drop a comment below or shoot me a DM on whatever social media works best for you. Until then, peace.